Rutland, Rutland. Oh! From Ireland thus comes York to claim his right, and pluck the crown from feeble Henry's head. Ring bells aloud, burn bonfires clear and bright, to entertain great England's lawful king.
Now by my father's badge, old Neville's crest, I'll wear this day my burgonet aloft as on a mountain top a cedar shows, that keeps his leaves in spite of any storm. Before I see thee seated on that throne, which now the house of Lancaster usurps, I vow by heaven these eyes shall never close.
Oh, Neville, this I do assure myself. Richard shall live to make the Earl of Warwick the greatest man in England, but the king.
Long live our sovereign Richard, England's king.
I thank you, lords, but I'm not your king till I be crowned, and that my sword be stained with heart blood of the house of Lancaster. And to that end, how fares our headstrong rebel Kentishman, that shag-haired crafty kern Jack Cade?
A Chatham Cade's people all in arms, sweep all before and in all hard strike fear in London, all is chaos and confusion.
Then on to London, sons and kinsmen all, for as York rises, may Lancaster fall. Yeah! Shall fall before us, inspired with the spirit of putting down kings and princes! Silence! My father was a Mortimer, an honest man and a good bricklayer. My mother a Plantagenet.
She was a midwife, I knew her well.
My wife descended of the Lacys.
Peddler's daughter, sold many laces.
Therefore am I of an honourable house.
Honourable? He was born in a field.
Valiant I am.
Beggar is valiant.
I am able to endure much.
I've seen him whip 3 market days running.
I fear neither sword nor fire.
Because he was burnt in the hand for stealing a sheep.
Be brave then. For your captain is brave and vows her reformation! 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 There shall be in England 7 halfpenny loaves sold for a penny. Yeah. And I will make it a felony to drink small beer. Yes. All the realm shall be in common. Yes. And when I am king, as king I will be. Yes. I thank you, good people. There shall be no money. All shall eat and drink on my score. Yes. And I will apparel them all in one livery, that they may agree like brothers and worship me, their lord.
First thing we'll do, we'll kill all the lawyers.
Yes! That I mean to do. Is not this a lamentable thing, that the skin of an innocent lamb should be made parchment? Right. That parchment, being scribbled o'er, should undo a man.
The clerk of Chatham, he couldn't read and write, and cast a compt.
Here's a villain.
There's a book in his pocket with red letters in it.
Aye, then, he is a conjurer.
Nah, he can make obligations and write court hand.
And now the man's a proper man in mine honour. Lest I find him guilty, he shall not die. Give me the syrup. What's thy name?
Emmanuel.
Emmanuel! That means God with us.
They used to write that on the top of letters. We'll go hard with you.
Let me alone. Didst thou used to write thy name? Huh? Or hast thou a mark to thyself, like any honest, plain-dealing man?
I thank God I've been so well brought up I can write my name.
Confession!
Away with him! Hang him with his pen and ink on about his neck.
Hang it! 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 Fly! 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 Sir Humphrey Stafford and his brother are hard by with the king's forces.
He shall be encountered with a man as good as himself. He's no more than a knight, is that?
No.
To equal him, I will make myself a knight presently. Rise up, Sir John Mortimer.
Rebellious hinds, the filth and scum of Kent, marked for the gallows. Lay your weapons down, home to your cottages, forsake this groom. The king is merciful if you go home.
But angry, wrathful and inclined to blood if you go forward. Therefore, yield or die.
As for these scarlet-coated slaves I pass not, it is to you, good people, that I speak, over whom in time to come I hope to reign. For I am rightful heir unto the crown.
Oh, yes. Villain, thy father was a plasterer.
List to this. Edmund Mortimer, Earl of March, married the Duke of Clarence's daughter, did he not?
Aye, sir.
By her he had 2 children at one birth.
That's false.
Aye, that's the question, but I say it is true. The elder of them, being put to nurse, was by a beggar woman stolen away. And ignorant of his birth and parentage, became a bricklayer when he came of age. His son am I. Deny it if you can.
Nay, 'tis true, therefore he shall be king.
Sir, he built a chimney in my father's house, and the bricks are alive at this day to testify it.
Yeah.
Therefore deny it not.
And will you credit this base drudge's words that speaks he knows not what?
Jack Cade, the Duke of York hath taught you this.
Go to, sirrah. You tell the king from me that for his father's sake, Henry V, I contend he shall reign, but I'll be protector over him.
Villains, disperse, or you shall answer it.
Furthermore, we'll have the Lord Sayzed for selling of the dukedom of May.
Good reason, for thereby is all England named. Fellow kings, I say unto you that the Lord Say hath gilded the Commonwealth and made it an eunuch. More than that, he can speak French. Therefore is he a traitor!
Oh, gross and miserable ignorance.
Since gentle words will not prevail, assail them with the army of the king.
Brother, away, and throughout every town proclaim them traitors that are up with Cade. But those which fly before the battle ends shall, even in their wives' and children's sight, be hanged up, for example, at their doors.
We will not leave. One lord, one gentleman. Now, show yourselves men. 'Tis for liberty! thyself as if thou wast being thine own slaughterhouse. Therefore, thus will I reward thee. Thou shalt have a license to kill for 100, lacking one.
I desire no more.
And to speak truth, our reservists, no less. This monument of the victory will I wear, and a body shall be dragged on a horse's heels till we do come to London.
If we meet a crime, we must break open the jails and let out all the prisoners.
Fear not that I warrant thee. Come towards London.
You're gonna get your fucking executed. You're gonna get your fucking executed.
How now, madam? Still lamenting and mourning the memory of Suffolk's death? I fear me, love, if that I had been dead, thou would not have mourned so much for me.
No, my love. I should not mourn, but die for thee.
My lord!
Ah, now, what news? Why comest thou in such haste?
The rebels are in Southwark. Fly, my lord. Jack Cade proclaims himself Lord Mortimer, descended from the Duke of Clarence house, and calls your grace usurper openly. He vows he'll crown himself at Westminster. His army is a ragged multitude of hinds and peasants, rude and merciless. All scholars, courtiers, lawyers, gentlemen, they call false caterpillars, and intend their death.
Oh, graceless men, they know not what they do.
My gracious liege, retire to Killingworth until a power be raised to put them down.
Ah, with the Duke of Suffolk now alive, these Kentish rebels would be soon appeased.
Lord say, the traitors hateth thee, therefore away with us to Killingworth.
So might your grace's person be in danger. The sight of me is odious in their eyes, and therefore in this city will I stay, and live alone, as secret as I may.
Please it your grace, to be advertised. The Duke of York is come from Ireland, and together with a puissant force of gallow-glasses and stout kerns is marching hitherward in proud array, and still proclaimeth as he comes along, his arms are but to remove from thee the Duke of Somerset, whom he terms a traitor.
Thus stands my state, twixt York and Cade distressed, like to a ship that having scaped a tempest is straightway calmed and boarded with a pirate. Cade must now be driven back, his men dispersed. Lord Clifford, go and talk to these Kentish rebels. Yet now is York in arms to second him. I pray Lord Hereford, go and meet York, and ask him what's the reason for these arms. Tell him I'll send Duke Edmund to the Tower, and Somerset we will commit thee thither until his army be dismissed from him.
My liege, I'd yield myself to prison willingly, or even unto death to do my country good.
Not say! Jack Cade hath gotten London Bridge. The citizens flee and forsake their homes. The rascal crowd, thirsting after prey, join with the traitor, and are jointly sworn to spoil the city and the royal court. Then linger not, my lord. Away, take horse. Trust nobody, for fear you are betrayed.
The trust I have is in mine innocence, and therefore am I bold and resolute. My Lord Clifford, summon up your son, and bold and steadfast we will face Jack Cade.
City, and here, sitting upon London's stone, I charge and command that the city's cost, the pissing conduit run nothing but claret wine this first year of our reign. Henceforth, it shall be treason for any that calls me other than Lord Mortimer.
Jack Cade! Jack Cade!
Knock him down there.
Think you had a very fair warning.
My lord! There's an army gathered together at Smithfield.
Well, then, let's go fight with them. But first, go and set London Bridge on fire.
Yes!
And if you can, burn down the tower too.
Yes.
Some pull down the Savoy, others to the Inns of Court. Down with them all!
Yes! My lord! I have a suit to put under your lordship.
And who'd be a lordship, thou shalt have it for that word.
That henceforth all the laws of England come out to your mate.
Yes. I have thought upon it. It shall be so!
Yes!
Burn all the records of the realm, and forward all things shall be in common, and my mouth shall be the Parliament of England.
A prize! A prize! Here's the Lord say. He that sold the towns in France and made us pay a shilling in the pound the last subsidy.
Well. He shall be beheaded for it 10 times. Thou say, thou surge, thou buckram lord. Now art thou within point blank of my jurisdiction regal. How canst thou answer to my majesty for giving up a Normandy under Monsieur Bazy-Moncoux, the Dauphin of France? Be it known unto thee that I am the besom that shall sweep the court clean of such filth as thou art. Thou hast most traitorously corrupted the youth of this realm in erecting a grammar school. And whereas before our forefathers had no other mark but the score and the tally, thou hast caused printing to be used. And contrary to the king, his crown and dignity, thou hast built a paper mill. Thou hast men about thee that usually speak of a noun and a verb, and such abominable words as no Christian ear can endure to hear. Thou hast appointed justices of the peace to call poor men before them about matters they were not able to answer. Moreover, thou hast put them in prison, and because they could not read, thou hast hanged them, when indeed only for that reason they've been most worthy to live.
You men of Kent.
What say you of Kent?
Hear me but speak, and bear me where you will. Kent, in the commentaries Caesar writ, is termed the civilest place of all this isle. Sweet is the country because full of riches, the people liberal, valiant, active, wealthy, which makes me hope you are not devoid of pity. I sowed not Maine, I lost not Normandy, yet to recover them would lose my life. Justice with favour have I always done. Tears and prayers could move me, gifts could never. Unless you be possessed of devilish spirits, you cannot but forbear to murder me. This tongue hath parleyed unto foreign kings for your behoof.
You're a monstrous coward.
These cheeks are pale with watching for your good.
Give him a box of the ear, that'll make him red again.
Lone sitting to determine poor men's causes hath made me full of sickness and diseases.
Why do you quiver, man?
The palsy, and not fair, provokes me.
I'll see whether his head will stand steadier upon a pole or no.
Yea, have I affected wealth or honour? Speak. Are my chests filled with extorted gold? Is my apparel sumptuous to behold? Whom have I injured that you seek my death? Ah, let me live.
He shall die, and it be but for pleading so well for his life. Strike off his head. set it upon a pole.
The proudest peer in the realm shall not wear a head upon his shoulders unless he pay me tribute. There shall not a maid be married that she shall pay to me her maidenhead. There they have it. Now, let them kiss one another, for they loved one enough when they were alive. Hey, no, part them again, lest they consult again about giving up some more towns in France. So yes, defer the spoil of the city until night, for with these born before us, will we ride through London streets, and at every corner, let them kiss! Yay! Away!
Rebels have essayed to win the tower. Haste we to Smithfield now to gather head.
The king wills not so many simple souls should perish by the sword. And I myself, rather than bloody war should cut them short, will parley with their general, Jack Cade.
Alas, pale parley will not serve with Cade.
My son, the people are but wandering hinds. We'll speak them fair. Outface this furious traitor.
Strange! Stand safe now! Kill and not die! Move them into the challenge! Dare any of you retreat when I command you, kill!
Here they be them there, and will disturb thee.
Yeah!
No, Cade. We come ambassadors from the king unto the commons, whom thou hast misled. And here pronounce a free pardon to them on all that will forsake thee and go home in peace.
What say ye, countrymen? Will ye relent and yield to mercy while 'tis offered you? Or let a rebel lead you to your deaths? Who loves the king and will embrace his pardon, fling up his cap and say, God save his majesty? Who loves him not and honours not his father, Henry V, who made all France to quake? Shake ye his whip and let us pass by. God save
These peasants! Will you believe him? Must you needs be hanged with your pardons about your necks? Has my sword broken through London gates, therefore, that you should leave me at the White Hart in Southwark? I thought you'd never have given out these arms till you had recovered your ancient freedoms. But you're all recreants and dastards, and delight to live in slavery to the nobility. Let them break your backs with burdens, take your houses over your heads, ravish your wives and daughters before your faces. I will make shift for one, and so God's curse light upon you all.
Is Cade the son of Henry V, that thus you say you'll go in? Will he lead you through the heart of France and make the meanest of you earls and dukes? Alas, he hath no home, no place to fly to, nor knows he how to live but by the spoil. We're not ashamed that whilst you live at Jar, the fearful French, whom you late vanquished, should make a start o'erseas and vanquish you. Better 10,000 Cades miscarry than you should stoop unto a Frenchman's mercy. To France, and get what you have lost. Spare England, for it is your native coast. Henry hath money. You are strong and manly. God on our side. Doubt not of victory.
Feathers so lightly blown to and fro as this multitudes. The name of Henry V hails them on 100 mischiefs and makes them leave me desolate. We see them lay their heads together to surprise me. My sword make way for me. The year is no longer stayed. In despite of the devils and hell, how through the lane make
Aye. Go some of you and follow him. And he that brings his head unto the king shall have 1,000 crowns for his reward.
This is the regal seat. Possess it, York.
Leave me not, my lords, be resolute. I mean to take possession of my right.
And when the king comes, offer him no violence, unless he seek to thrust you out perforce.
The Queen this day here holds a parliament, but little thinks we shall be of a council.
A bloody parliament shall it be called, unless Plantagenet, Duke of York, be king. Neither the king nor he that loves him best, the proudest he that holds up Lancaster, dare stir a wing if Warwick shake his bells. Outplant Plantagenet, root him up who dares. Now resolve thee, Richard, claim the English crown.
Yes!
Look where the sturdy rebel sits. Even in the chair of state. Like he means, backed by the power of Warwick, that false peer, to aspire unto my crown and reign as king.
What? Shall we suffer this? Let's pluck him down. My heart for anger burns. I cannot brook it.
Be patient, gentle Clifford.
Patience is for poltroons such as he. He does not sit there as your father lived.
I know you not. The city favours them, and they have troops of soldiers at their back.
But when the Duke is slain, they'll quickly fly.
Ah, be the thought of this from Henry's heart. To make a shambles of the Parliament House. My Lord of Oxford, frowns, words, and threats shall be the war that Henry means to use. My Warwick, hast thy knee forgot to bow? Oh, where is faith? Oh, where is loyalty? Thou factious Duke of York, descend my throne, and kneel for grace and mercy at my feet. I am thy sovereign.
Thou art deceived, I am thine. That head of thine doth not become a crown. Thy hand was made to grasp a palmer's staff, and not to grace an awful princely sceptre.
Plantagenet, of thee and these thy sons, thy kinsmen and thy friends, I'll have more drops of blood than live within my father's veins.
Will you wish our title to the crown? If not, our swords will plead it in the field.
What title hast thou, traitor, to the crown?
Edward III, my lords, had 7 sons. Henry claims the crown from John of Gaunt, the 4th son. York claims it from the 3rd. His grandfather was Lionel, Duke of Clarence, 3rd son of the 3rd Edward. Now what plain proceeding is more plain than this? Till Lionel's issue fails, his should not reign. It fails not yet, but flourishes in York. Long live King Richard!
Long live King Richard!
I am the son of Henry V, who made the Dauphin and the French to stoop, and seized upon their towns and provinces.
Talk not of France as thou hast lost it all.
The Lord Protector lost it, and not I. When I was crowned, I was but 9 months old.
Father, tear the crown from the usurper's head.
Sweet father, do so. Set it on thy head.
Good brothers, now lovest and honourest arms, let's fight it out and not stand cavilling thus.
Sound drums and trumpets, and the king will fly.
Sons, peace!
Peace thou, and give King Henry leave to speak.
Plantagenet shall speak first. Hear him, you lords, and be you silent and attentive too. For he that interrupts him shall not live.
Thinkest thou that I will leave my kingly throne, wherein my grandsire and my father sat? No. First shall war unpeople this my realm. I am their colours, often born in France, and now in England, to my heart's great sorrow, shall be my winding sheet. Why faint you, lords? My title's good, and better far than his.
Prove it, Henry, and thou shalt be king.
Henry IV, by conquest, got the crown.
It was by rebellion against the king.
But Richard, in the view of many lords, resigned the crown to Henry IV, whose heir my father was, and I am his.
He rose against him being his sovereign, and made him to resign the crown perforce.
My conscience tells me York is lawful king.
All will revolt and fly from me.
Why whisper you, my lords, and answer not?
Art thou against us, Duke of Hereford?
His is the right, and therefore pardon me.
King Henry, be thy title right or wrong, Lord Clifford vows to fight in thy defence.
Oh, Clifford, how thy words revive my heart.
Henry of Lancaster resigned the crown. But mutter you, what can spy, lords?
Do right unto this princely Duke of York, or I will fill this house with armed men, and up above the seat where now he sits, light up his title in usurping blood.
My Lord of Warwick, give me but one word. Let me for this my lifetime reign as king.
Resign the crown to me and to mine heirs, and thou shalt reign in quiet while thou livest.
I am content. Richard Plantagenet, enjoy the kingdom after my decease.
What wrong is this unto the prince your son?
But what good for England and himself?
These fearful and despairing, Henry! How hast thou injured both thyself and us?
I cannot stay to hear these articles.
Nor I.
Come, father. Let's tell the Queen these news.
Turn this way, Henry, regard them not.
Oh, Oxford.
Now why shouldst thou sigh, my lord?
Not for myself, Lord Warwick, but my son, whom I unnaturally shall disinherit. But be it as it may, I here resign my crown to thee and to thine heirs forever, conditionally, that here thou take an oath to cease this civil war, and whilst I live, to honour me as thy king and sovereign, and neither by treason nor hostility to seek to put me down and reign thyself.
This oath I willingly take and will perform.
Long live King Henry!
Long live King Henry!
Long live King Henry! Long live King Henry. Plantagenet, embrace him.
And long live thou, and these thy forward sons.
Now York and Lancaster are reconciled.
Accursed be he that seeks to make them foes.
See, Oxford, Somerset comes from the Queen. Go bid her hide him quickly from the Duke.
Now is Somerset at liberty? Must I endure the sight of Somerset? False king, why hast thou broken thy oath with me, knowing I could never break mine? King did I call thee? No, thou art not king. Not fit to govern and rule multitudes who darest not. No, nor canst not rule a traitor.
Thou monstrous traitor! I arrest thee, York, of capital treason against the king and crown.
Proud Somerset, thy protests are in vain. The crown is mine upon King Henry's death, and then a traitor thou shalt be proclaimed. Come, sons, away. This dispute we'll resolve another day.
Oh, ill-advised king, how canst thou in such haste deny thy son his crown, his rightful due of birth? Be sure, though yet to Lancaster my loyalty shall be, thy royal house, thy state, thy throne. By this is lost to thee.
My lord, here comes the Queen.
Ah, wretched man. Would I had died a maid and never seen thee, never borne thee son. Had he deserved to lose his birthright thus? Hadst thou but loved him half so well as I, thou wouldst have left thy dearest heart's blood there, rather than have made that savage duke thine heir.
Father, you cannot disinherit me. If you be king, why should not I succeed?
Pardon me, Margaret. Pardon me, sweet sir. The Earl of Warwick and the Duke enforced me.
Enforced thee? Art thou king and wilt be forced? I shame to hear thee speak. Thou timorous wretch, thou hast undone thyself, thy son, and me, to entail him and his heirs unto the crown. What it is but to make thy sepulchre and creep into it far before thy time. And yet shalt thou be safe. Such safety finds the trembling lamb environed with wolves. Yet thou preferest thy life before thine honour. And seeing thou dost, I here divorce myself both from thy table, Henry, and thy bed, until that Act of Parliament be repealed whereby my son is disinherited. Thus do I leave thee. Come, son, let's away.
Stay, gentle Margaret, and hear me speak.
Thou hast spoke too much already. Get thee gone.
Sweet son Edward, thou wilt stay with me.
Aye, to be murdered by my enemies.
The loss of those three lords torments my heart. I'll write unto them straight, entreat them fair.
Brother, though I be youngest, give me leave.
No, I can better play the orator.
But I have reasons, strong and forcible.
Ah, now, sons and brothers, what a strife. How began your quarrel?
No quarrel, just a slight contention.
About what?
About that which concerns your grace and us. The crown of England, father, which is yours.
Mine, boy, not till King Henry be dead.
You're right, depends not on his life or death.
Now you are heir, therefore enjoy it now. By giving the House of Lancaster leave to breathe, it will outrun your father in the end.
I took an oath that he may quietly reign.
But for a kingdom, any oath may be broken. I'd break 1,000 oaths to reign 1 year.
An oath is of no moment, being not took before a true and lawful magistrate that hath authority over him that swears. Henry had none, but did usurp the place. Then seeing 'twas he that made you to depose, your oath, my lord, is vain and frivolous. Therefore to arms, and father, do but think how sweet a thing it is to wear a crown, within whose circuit is Elysium, and all that poets feign of bliss and joy. Why do we linger thus? I cannot rest until the white rose that I wear be dyed even in the lukewarm blood of Henry's heart.
That's enough! I will be king or die.
Yes!
Edward, thou wilt to London presently. Richard, thou son to the Duke of Norfolk, tell him privily of our intent. Alward and Warwick to this enterprise. But say what news.
The Queen, with all her northern earls and lords, intends here to besiege you in your castle. She is hard by with 20,000 men, and therefore fortify your hold, my lord.
Aye, with my sword. What thinkst thou that we fear them? Richard, Edward, George, stay with me.
Nay, father! Let us meet her in the field!
What, with 5,000 men?
Aye, with 500 Norfolk for a need. A woman's general, what should we fear?
I hear their drums. Let's set our men in order and issue forth and bid them battle straight.
5 men to 20. Though the odds be great, I doubt not Norfolk of our victory. Many a battle have I won in France, when as the enemy hath been 10 to 1. Why should I not have now the like success?
The Yorks from Sandal Castle do approach.
Long have I vowed to curb that yeoman York, and Somerset swears fealty to the death.
Sweet Somerset, I thank thee for thy care. Now, loving lord, still loyal to Lancaster, follow my colours as you see them spread. At Albans here we'll see the foul disgrace of proud Plantagenet and his peevish sons. So raise the red rose unto victory and utter ruin of the House of York. Set on, Lancaster!
For thou art still. Peace with thy soul, heaven. It be thy will.
Let the vile world end. Did earth and heaven together? Was thou ordained, dear father, in thy reverence and thy chair days to die in ruffian battle? Even at the sight, my heart is turned to stone. And while 'tis mine, it shall be stony. York, not our old men spares, well, nor will I their babes. Tears virginal shall be to me as dew to fire. And beauty, which the tyrant oft reclaims, shall to my flaming wrath be oil and flax. Henceforth, I will not have to do with pity. Be I an infant of the House of York, into as many gobbets will I cut it, in cruelty will I seek out my fame. Come, thou new ruin of old Clifford's house. Nothing so heavy as these woes of mine. Fly! Fly! For God's sake, fly! Young Rotten, fly!
Whither should I fly to escape their hands? And you to look where bloody Clifford comes!
Murder not young Rutland, murder not this innocent child, lest I be hated both of God and man. Oh, now, is he dead already?
Or is it fear that makes him close his eyes?
I'll open them!
Gentle Clifford, kill me with thy sword, not with such a cruel, threatening look. Sweet Clifford, let me speak before I die. I am too mean a subject for thy wrath.
In vain thou speaks, poor boy. My father's blood has stopped the passage where thy words should enter.
Then let my father's blood open it again. He is a man, and Clifford cope with him.
Did I thy brethren here? Their lives and thine were not revenge sufficient for me. No. If I digged up thy forefathers' graves and hanged the rotten coffins up in chains, it could not slake mine eye nor ease my heart. The sight of me, of the house of York, is as a fury to torment my soul. Until I root out that accursed line, I live in hell. Therefore,
let me pray before I take my death. To thee I pray, sweet Clifford, pity me!
Ah, such pity is my rapier's point of force.
Let me live in prison all my days. When I give thee reason for offence, then let me die, for now thou hast no cause.
No cause?
No.
Thy father slew my father. Therefore, die! Plantagenet? I can't, Plantagenet! And this, thy son's blood cleaving to my blade, shall rust upon my weapon till thy blood congealed with this do make me wipe off both. Plantagenet!
The army of the Queen hath got the field, and all my followers to the eager foe turn back and fly like ships before the wind. The sands are numbered that make up my life. Here must I stay, and here my life must end. Oh, blood-bespotted Neapolitan! Outcast of Naples, England's bloody scourge! Come, bloody Clifford! Rough Oxford! I dare your quenchless fury to more rage.
Yield to our mercy, proud Plantagenet.
Oh, aye, to such mercy as his ruthless arm with downright payment showed unto my father.
Oh, valiant Clifford! For 1,000 causes I would prolong a while the traitor's life.
What would your grace have done unto him now?
Brave warriors Clifford and Oxford, come. Make him stand upon this molehill here, that rotted mountains with outstretched arms, yet parted but the shadow with his hand. What? Was it you that would be England's king? Was it you that revelled in our parliament and made a preachment of thy high descent? Where are your mess of sons to back you now? The wanton Edward and the lusty George? And where's that valiant crookback prodigy, Dicky, your boy, that with his grumbling voice was wont to cheer his dad in mutinies? Or with the rest, where is your valiant Rutland? Look, York, I stained this napkin with the blood that valiant Clifford with his rapier's point made issue from the bosom of the boy. And if your eyes can water for his death, I give thee this to dry thy cheeks withal. Alas, poor York! Not that I hate thee deadly, I would lament thy miserable state. I prithee grieve to make me merry, York. What? Has thy fiery heart so parched thine entrails that not a tear can fall for Rutland's death? Why art thou patient, man? Thou shouldst be mad, and I to make thee mad do mock thee thus. Stand, rage, and fret, that I may sing and dance. Thou wouldst be feed, I see, to make me sport. York cannot speak unless he wears a crown. Crown for York, and lords bow low to him. Hold you his hands while I do set it on. Aye, marry, sir, now looks he like a king. Aye, this is he that took King Henry's chair, and this is he was his adopted heir. But why is it that proud Plantagenet is crowned so soon and broke his solemn oath? As I methinks me, you should not be king till our King Henry has shook hands with death. Oh, 'tis a fault too unpardonable. Off with the crown, and with the crown his head.
It is my office for my father's death.
Shield of France! But worse than wolves of France, whose tongue more poisonous than an adder's tooth, how ill-beseeming is it in thy sex to triumph like an Amazonian troll. But that thy face is visard-like, unchanging, made impudent with use of evil deeds, I would essay, proud queen, to make thee blush. Thy father bears the type of King of Naples, yet not so wealthy as an English yeoman. Hath that poor monarch taught thee to insult? 'Tis beauty that doth oft make women proud, but God he knows thy share thereof is small. 'Tis virtue that makes them most admired. The country doth make thee wondered at. 'Tis government that makes them seem divine. The want thereof makes thee abominable. Thou art as opposite to every good as the antipodes are to us. O tiger's heart wrapped in a woman's hide! How couldst thou drain the lifeblood of the child, and bid the father wipe his eyes withal, and yet be seen to bear a woman's face? Wouldst have me rage? Why now thou hast thy will, wouldst have me weep? Why now thou hast thy wish? These tears are my sweet Rutland's obsequies, and every drop cries vengeance for his death. Yes, thee, fell Clifford, and thee follows, French woman.
What? Weeping ripe, my lord of Oxford. But think upon the wrongs he did us all, and will quickly dry thy melting tears.
Beshrew me, but his passions moves me so that hardly can I check my eyes from tears.
That face of his the hungry cannibals would not have touched, would not have stained with blood. But thou art more inhuman, more inexorable, oh, 10 times more than tigers of Icania. See, ruthless queen, a hapless father's tears. This cloth thou dipp'st in blood of my sweet boy, and I with tears do wash the blood away. Keep thou the napkin and go boast of this. Here, take the crown. With the crown, my curse.
There's for my oath. And there's for my father's death.
And this to right our gentle-hearted king.
Open thy gates of mercy, gracious God. My soul flies through these wounds to seek out thee.
Off with his head and set it on York gates, that York may overlook the town of York.
I wonder how our princely father escaped. Or whether he escaped away or no. Or had he escaped, methinks we should have heard.
I saw him in the battle range about, and watched him how he singled Clifford forth. Methought he bore him in the thickest troop as to the bear encompassed round with dogs.
Methinks 'tis prize enough to be his son. See how the morning opes her golden gates, and takes a farewell of the glorious sun.
Dazzle mine eyes. What do I see? 3 suns?
3 glorious suns. Each one a perfect sun. See, they join, embrace and seem to kiss, as if they vowed some league inviolable.
Now are they but one light, one lamp, one sun? In this the heavens figure some event.
Methinks it cites us, brothers, to the field, that we, the sons of brave Plantagenet, each one already blazing by our needs, should notwithstanding join our lights together and overshine the earth as this the world. Whate'er it bodes, henceforward will I bear upon my target 3 fair shining suns.
Nay, bear 3 daughters.
Hey.
By your leave I speak it, you love the breeder better than the male.
Speak, Norfolk. Thy heavy looks foretell some dreadful story hanging on thy tongue.
My lord, I was a woeful looker-on when as the noble Duke of York was slain, your princely father, and my loving lord.
Oh, speak no more, for I have heard too much.
Say how he died, for I will hear it all.
By many hands, your father was subdued, but only slaughtered by the ireful hand of unrelenting Clifford, and the queen, who crowned the gracious duke in high despite, laughed in his face, and when with grief he wept, gave him to dry his tears a napkin steeped in the faultless blood of sweet young Rutland, by rough Clifford slain. Then after many foul taunts and many taints, they took his head and on the gates of York they set it up. And there it doth remain.
O Clifford, boisterous Clifford, thou hast slain the flower of Europe for his chivalry. Sweet Duke of York, our prop to lean upon. Now thou art gone, we have no staff, no stay. Never, oh never shall I see more joy.
I cannot weep, for all my body's moisture scarce serves to quench my furnace-burning heart. Tears then for babes, blows and revenge for me. Richard, I bear thy name, I'll venge thy death, or die renowned by attempting it.
His name that valiant duke hath left with thee. His dukedom and his chair with me is left.
Nay, if thou be the princely eagle's bird, show thy descent by gazing against the sun.
How now, fair lords? What fares? What news abroad?
Oh, valiant lord, the Duke of York is slain.
Oh, Warwick, that Plantagenet is by the stern Lord Clifford done to death.
Aye. Therefore Warwick came to seek ye out.
But in this troublous time, what's to be done? Shall we go and throw away our coats of steel? And wrap our bodies in black mourning gowns? Or shall we, on the helmets of our foes, tell our devotion with revengeful arms?
Know you, my lords, this strong right hand of mine can pluck the diadem from faint Henry's brow and wring the awful sceptre from his fist. Were he as famous and as bold in war as he is famed for mildness, peace, and prayer? Amen, my lords. The proud, insulting Queen, Clifford, and imperious Oxford too, and of their feather many more proud birds, have wrought the easy melting king like wax. Now to York the crew are gone. Their power, I think, is 30,000 strong now. The help of Norfolk and myself, and all the friends that thou, brave Earl of March, amongst thy loving Welshmen canst procure, shall but amount to 25,000. Why, then beer, then thither shall we march amain.
Lord Warwick, on thy shoulder will I lean, and when thou failst, as God forbid the hour, then Edward falls, which peril heaven forfend.
No longer Earl of March, but Duke of York. Aye, and King of England shalt thou be proclaimed, in every borough as we pass along. And he that throws not up his hat for joy, for shall that fault pay forfeit of his head. King Edward, valiant Richard, noble George, stay we no longer dreaming of renown, but sound our trumpet and about our task.
Then, Clifford, with thy heart as hard as steel as thou hast shown it flinty by thy deeds, I come to pierce it, or to give thee mine.
Then strike up, drums. God and St. George for us.
Welcome, my lord, to this brave town of York. Yonder's the head of that arch enemy that sought to be encompassed with your crown. Doth not the object cheer your heart, my lord?
Aye, as the rocks cheer them that fear their wrack. To see this sight, it irks my very soul.
My liege, this too much lenity and harmful pity must be laid aside. Ambitious York did level at thy crown, thou, smiling while he knit his angry brows. He, but a duke, would have his son a king. Thou, being a king and blessed with a goodly son, did yield consent to disinherit him. Will it not pity that this goodly boy should lose his birthright by his father's fault? And long hereafter say unto his son what my grandfather and great-grandsire got, my careless father fondly gave away?
But Clifford, tell me, didst thou never hear that things ill-got had ever bad success? I leave my son my virtuous deeds behind, and would my father had left me no more. For all the rest is held at such a rate, as brings 1,000-fold more care to keep, than in possession any jot of pleasure. Cousin of York, Would thy best friends did know how it doth grieve me that thy head stands there.
Royal commanders, be in readiness, for with a band of 30,000 men comes Warwick, backing of the Duke of York. And in the towns, as they do march along, proclaims him king, and many fly to him. Darraign your battle, for they are at hand.
Oh, would your highness would depart the field, the queen hath best success when you are absent.
Aye, good my lord, and leave us to our fortune.
Why, that's my fortune too, therefore I'll stay.
Now, perjured Henry, wilt thou kneel for grace and set thy diadem upon my head, or bide the mortal conflict of the field?
Oh, rate thy minions, proud insulting boy! Becomes it thee to be thus bold in terms before thy sovereign and thy lawful king?
I am his king, and he should bow to me. I was appointed heir by his consent. For as I hear, thou that art king, oh, he doth wear the crown, have forced him by new act of parliament to blot out me and set his son in place.
Who should succeed the father but the son?
Are you there, butcher? Oh, I cannot speak.
I crook back. Here I stand to answer thee, or any he, the proudest of thy sort.
'Twas you that stabbed young Rutland, was it not?
Aye.
And old York, and yet not satisfied. For God's sake, lords, give signal to the fight!
What sayest thou, Henry? Wilt thou yield the crown?
Why, how now, long-tongued Warwick? Dare you speak?
Break off the parley, for scarce I can refrain the execution of my big swollen heart upon that Clifford, that cruel child killer.
Have done with words, my lords, and hear me speak.
Defy them then, or else hold close thy lips.
I am a king, and privileged to speak.
My liege, the wounds that bred this meeting here cannot be cured by words, therefore be still.
Say, Henry, shall I have my right or no?
1,000 men have broke their fast today, that ne'er shall dine unless thou yield the crown.
If thou deny, bear blood upon thy head. For then in justice York took up the fight.
If that be right, which Warwick says is right, there is no wrong, but everything is right.
Sound trumpets, let our bloody colours wave, and either victory or else the grave.
Stay, Edward.
No wrangling woman, I'll no longer stay. These words shall cost 10,000 lives this day.
Richard! Now! I'll single thee alone. Suppose this arm is for the Duke of York, and this for Rutland. Both bound to revenge, wert thou environed with a brazen wall. Now, Richard, I am here with thee alone. This is the hand that stabbed thy father York, and this, the hand that slew thy brother Rutland. And here's the heart that triumphs in their deaths, and cheers these hands that slew thy sire and brother to execute the like upon thyself. Therefore, have at thee! myself will hunt this wolf to death.
This battle fares like to the morning's war, when dying clouds contend with growing light. But Timon's shepherd, blowing of his nails, can neither call it perfect day nor night. Now sways it this way like a mighty sea, forced by the tide to combat with the wind. Now sways it that way, like the self-same sea, forced to retire by fury of the wind. Sometime the flood prevails, and then the wind, then one the better, then another best, both tugging to be victors, breast to breast. Yet neither conqueror nor conqueror. So is the equal poise of this fell war. Here, on this molehill will I sit me down. To whom God will, there be the victory. For Margaret, my queen, and Clifford too, have chid me from the battle, swearing both they prosper best of all when I am thence. Would I were dead, if God's goodwill were so. For what is in this world but grief and woe? O God, methinks it were a happy life to be no better than a homely swain, to sit upon a hill as I do now, to carve out dials, quaintly, point by point, thereby to see the minutes how they run. How many make the hour full complete? How many hours bring about the day? How many days will follow up the year? How many years a mortal man may live? When this is known, then to divide the times. So many hours must I take my rest. So many hours must I sport myself. So many hours must I contemplate. So many hours must I tend my flock. So many days my ewes have been with young. So many weeks ere the poor fools will bear. So many years that I shall shear the fleece. So minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, and years passed over to the time they were created would bring white hairs unto a quiet grave. Ah, what a life were this. How sweet, how lovely. Gives not the hawthorn bush a sweeter shade to shepherds looking on their silly sheep, and doth a rich, embroidered canopy to kings that fear their subjects' treachery? Oh, yes, it doth. 1,000-fold it doth. And to conclude, the shepherd's homely curds, his cold, thin drink out of his leather bottle, his wonted sleep under a fresh tree shade, all which secure and sweetly he enjoys, is far beyond the prince's delicates, his viand sparkling in a golden cup, his body couched in a curious bed, where care, mistrust, and treason waits on him.
Ill blows the wind that profits nobody. This man, whom hand to hand I slew in fight, might be possessed of some store of crowns, and I, that happily take them from him now, may yet, ere night, yield both my life and them to some man else as this dead man doth me. Who's this? Oh God! It is my father's face! Who
who in this conflict I unawares have killed. Oh, heavy times beget in such events. From London by the king was I pressed forth. My father, being the Earl of Warwick's man, came on the part of York, pressed by his master. And I, who at his hands received my life, by my hands of life bereaved him. Pardon me, God. I knew not what I did. Pardon me, Father. I knew not thee. These tears shall wipe away these bloody marks. And no more words till I have wept my fill.
Oh, piteous spectacle. Oh, bloody times. Whilst lions war and battle for their dens, poor harmless lambs abide their enmity. Weep, wretched man. I laid thee tear for tear, and let our hearts and eyes, like civil war, be blind with tears, and break o'ercharged with grief.
Thou that so stoutly have resisted me, give me thy gold. If thou hast any gold, for I have bought it with 100 blows. Well, let me see. Is this our foeman's face? No, no, no! It is mine only son. Oh boy, if any life be left in thee, throw up thine eye. See, see what showers arise, blown with the windy tempest of my heart upon thy wounds, that kills mine eye and heart. Oh, pity God this miserable age! What stratagems! How fell, how butcherly, erroneous, mutinous, and unnatural! This deadly quarrel daily does beget. Ah, boy, thy father gave thee life too soon, and hath bereft thee of thy life too late.
Woe above woe. Grief, more than common grief. Would that my death would stop these ruthful deeds. Oh, pity! Pity, gentle heaven, pity!
The red rose and the white are on his face, the fatal colours of our striving houses. The one his purple blood right well resembles, the other his pale cheek methinks presenteth. Wither one rose, and let the other flourish. If you contend, 1,000 lives must wither.
How will my mother, for a father's life, take on with me and ne'er be satisfied?
How shall my wife, for the slaughter of my son, shed seas of tears and ne'er be satisfied?
How will the country, for these woeful chances, misthink the king and not be satisfied?
I'll bear me hands, so I can weep my arm.
These arms of mine shall be thy winding sheet. I'll bear thee hence, and let them fight at will. For I have murdered what I should not kill.
Sad-hearted men, much overgone with care. Here sits a king, more woeful than you are.
Oh, fly, father, fly! For your friends have fled!
Edward and Richard like a brace of greyhounds, having the fearful flying hair and sight on at our backs. Therefore, hence amain!
Away! For vengeance comes along with them! Please, stay not to expostulate, make speed!
Nay!
Take me with thee, good sweet Oxford.
Not that I fear to stay, but love to go whither the Queen intends. Forward. Away.
It burns my candle out. Aye. Here it dies. Which was it last it gave King Henry light? Oh, Lancaster, I fear thy overthrow more than my body's parting with my soul. Common people swarm like summer flies, and with a fly the gnats but to the sun. And who shines now but Henry's enemies? Oh, Henry! Hadst thou swayed as kings should do, or as thy father and his father did, aye, and 10,000 in this luckless realm, had left no mourning widows for our dead. And thou, this day, had kept thy chair in peace. Oh. The air hath got into my deadly wounds, and much effuse of blood doth make me faint. Come, York, and Richard, Warwick, and the rest, and stab thy father's bottoms, split my breast.
Now rest me, lords. Good fortune bids us pause. Some troops pursue the bloody-minded queen.
Oh, soul is that which takes a heavy leave. A deadly groan like life and death's departing.
See who it is, and now the battle's ended. If friend or foe, let him be gently used.
Revolt that doom of mercy, for this Clifford!
Bring forth that fatal screech owl to our house that never sang but death to us and ours.
From off the gates of York, take down that head, thy father's head, which Clifford placed there. Instead whereof, let this supply the room. Measure for measure must be answered.
'Tis but his policy to counterfeit. If so thou think'st, vex him with eager words.
Clifford, ask mercy and obtain no grace.
Clifford, repent in bootless penitence.
Speak, Clifford. Devise excuses for thy faults. Oh, they mock thee, Clifford. Swear as thou was wont.
What, not an oath? Nay, then the world goes hard when Clifford cannot spare his friends an oath. I know by that he's dead.
Cut off his head and put it up in place where now their father stands. and then to London with triumphant march, to see thee crowned England's royal king. From whence shall Warwick cut the seas to France to ask the Lady Bona for thy bride. So shalt thou sinew both these lands together.
Even as thou wilt, sweet Warwick, let it be, for in thy shoulder do I build my seat. Richard, I do create thee Duke of Gloucester, and George of Clarence. Warwick, as ourself, to do and undo as him pleaseth best.
Let me be Duke of Clarence, George of Gloucester, for Gloucester's dukedom is too ominous.
Tut, Richard, that's a foolish observation. Go on, be Duke of Gloucester. And now, to see these honours in possession. Chairman!
Of Gloucester. At St. Albans Field, this lady's husband, Sir Richard Grey, was slain, his lands then seized on by the Conqueror. Her suit is now to repossess these lands, which we, in justice, cannot well deny.
Your Highness shall do well to grant her suit.
It were no less, and yet we'll make a pause.
Yeah, is it so? I see the lady hath a thing to grant before the king will grant her humble suit.
He knows the game, how true he keeps the wind.
How many children hast thou, widow, tell me?
I think he means to beg a child of her.
Nay, then whip me. He'll rather give her 2.
3, my most gracious lord.
You shall have 4 if you'll be ruled by him.
'Twere pity they should lose their father's lands.
Be pitiful, dread lord, and grant it then.
Lords, give us leave. We'll try this widow's wit. Now, tell me, widow, do you love your children?
Aye, full as dearly as I love myself.
And would you not do much to do them good?
To do them good, I would sustain some harm.
I'll tell you how these lands are to be got.
So shall you bind me to your highness' service?
What service wilt thou do me, if I give them?
What you command, that rests in me to do.
But you will take exceptions to my boon?
No, gracious lord, except that I cannot do it.
Aye, but thou canst do what I mean to ask.
Why, then I will do what your grace commands.
He plies her hard, and much rain wears the marble.
As red as fire, nay, then her wax must melt.
Aye,
by gum.
Why stops, my lord? Shall I not hear my task?
An easy task. 'Tis but to love a king.
That's soon performed, for I am a subject.
Why, then thy husband's lands I freely give thee.
I take my leave with many thousand thanks.
Stay thee. 'Tis the fruits of love I mean.
The fruits of love I mean, my loving lord.
Aye, but I fear me in another sense. What love thinkst thou I sue so much to get?
My love till death, my humble thanks, my prayers, that love which virtue begs and virtue grants.
No, by my troth, I did not mean such love.
Why, then you mean not as I thought you did.
Why, then you partly may perceive my mind.
My mind will never grant what I perceive your highness aims at, if I aim aright.
To tell thee plain, I aim to lie with thee.
To tell you plain, I had rather lie in prison.
Why, then thou shalt not have thy husband's lands.
Why, then mine honesty shall be my dower, for by that loss I will not purchase them. But, mighty lord, this merry inclination accords not with the sadness of my suit. Please you dismiss me either with aye or no.
Aye, if thou dost say aye to my request. No, if thou dost say no to my demand.
Then no, my lord. My suit is at an end.
The widow likes him not. She knits her brows.
He is the bluntest wooer in Christendom.
Her looks doth argue her replete with modesty. Her words do show her wit incomparable. One way or another, she is for a king.
My lord.
Say that King Edward take thee for his queen.
That's better said than done, my gracious lord. I am a subject fit to jest withal, but far unfit to be a sovereign.
Sweet widow, by my state I swear to thee I speak no more than what my soul desires, and that is to enjoy thee for my love.
And that is more than I will yield unto. I know I am too mean to be your queen, and yet too good to be your concubine.
You cavil, widow, I did mean my queen.
'Twill grieve your grace my sons should call you father.
No more than when my daughters call thee mother. Thou art a widow, and thou hast some children, and by God's mother, I being but a bachelor, have other sons. Why, 'tis a happy thing to be the father unto many sons. Answer no more, for thou shalt be my queen. Brothers, you muse what chat we two have had.
The widow likes it not, for she looks very sad.
You think it strange if I should marry her?
To who, my lord?
By Clarence, to myself.
That will be 10 days' wonder at the least.
Well, jest on, brothers. I can tell you both, her suit is granted for her husband's lands. Widow, go you along. Lords, use her honourably.
Aye. Edward will use women honourably. Would he were wasted, marrow, bones, and all, that from his loins no hopeful branch may spring to cross me from the golden time I look for. And yet, between my soul's desire and me, the lustful Edward's title buried is Clarence, Henry, and his son young Edward, and all the unlooked-for issue of their bodies to take their rooms ere I can place myself. A cold premeditation for my purpose. Why then, I do but dream on sovereignty, like one that stands upon a promontory and spies a far-off shore where he would tread, wishing his foot were equal with his eye, and chides the sea that sunders him from then, saying, "Here laid it dry to have his way." So do I wish the crown, being so far off, and so I chide the means that keeps me from it, and so I say I'll cut the causes off, flattering me with impossibilities. My eyes too quick, my heart always too much, unless my hand and strength could equal them. Well, say there is no kingdom then for Richard. What other pleasures can the world afford? I'll make my heaven in a lady's lap, and deck my body in gay ornaments, and witch sweet ladies with my words and looks. Oh, miserable thought. And more unlikely than to accomplish 20 golden crowns. Why, Love forswore me in my mother's womb, and for I should not deal in her soft laws, she did corrupt frail nature with some bribe to shrink mine arm up like a withered shrub, to place an envious mountain on my back where sits deformity to mock my body, to shape my legs of an unequal size, to disproportion me in every part like to a chaos or an unlicked bear whelp. And am I then a man to be beloved? Oh, monstrous fault to harbour such a thought. Then, since this earth affords no joy to me, but to command, to check, to o'erbear such as are of better person than myself, I'll make my heaven to dream upon the crown, and whiles I live, to account this world but hell, until my misshaped trunk that bears this head be round impaled with a glorious crown. And yet I know not how to get that crown. Many lives stand between me and home, and I, like one lost in a thorny wood that rents the thorns and is rent with the thorns, seeking a way and straying from the way, not knowing how to find the open air, but toiling desperately to find it out, torment myself to catch the English crown. And from that torment, I will free myself, or hew my way out with a bloody axe. Why, I can smile and murder while I smile, and cry content to that which grieves my heart, and wet my cheeks with artificial tears, and frame my face to all occasions. I'll drown more sailors than the mermaid shall. I'll play the orator as well as Nestor, deceive more slyly than Ulysses could, and like a Sinon take another Troy. I can add colours to the chameleon, and set the murderous Machiavel to school. Can I do this, and cannot get a crown? Tcha! Were it further off, I'll pluck it down.
Let's sit us down upon the ground a while, for through this land anon, and deer will come, and in this covert will we make our stand.
I'll stay above the hill, so both may shoot.
Nay, lad, here comes a man, let's stay till he be past.
From Scotland am I stolen, even of pure love, to greet mine own land with my wishful sight. No, Harry, Harry, 'tis no land of thine. Thy place is filled, thy sceptre wrung from thee, thy barb washed off wherewith thou wast anointed. No bending knee will call thee Caesar now, no humble suitor pressed to speak for right. No, not a man comes for redress of thee, for how can I help them and not myself?
What? Here's a deer whose skin's a keeper's fee.
Eh?
This is the quondam king.
Let's seize on him.
Stay.
The queen and son are gone to France for aid. And as I hear, the great commanding Warwick is thither gone. to crave the French king's sister to wife for Edward.
Say, what art thou that talkest to kings?
And queens?
More than I seem, and less than I was born to.
Aye, but thou talkest as if thou wert a king.
Why, so I am, in mind, and that's enough.
Well, if you be a king, where's your crown?
My crown is in my heart, not on my head, not to be seen. My crown is called content. The crown it is that seldom kings enjoy.
Well, if you be a king crowned with content, your crown content, and you must be contented to go along with us.
For as we think, you are the king, King Edward hath deposed.
And we, his subjects, sworn in all allegiance, will apprehend you as his enemy.
I was anointed king at 9 months old. My grandfather and my father were kings. And you were sworn true subjects unto me. And tell me then, have you not broke your oaths?
Nay, for we were but subjects, while you were king.
Why am I dead? Do I not breathe a man? Ah, simple men, you know not what you swear. Look. As I blow this feather from my face, such is the likeness of the common man.
We are the true subjects of the king.
King Edward!
We charge you in God's name and the king's to go along with us unto the offices.
In God's name lead. Your king's name be obeyed. And what God will, that let your king perform. And what he will, I humbly yield unto.
Yet say, fair queen, whence springs this deep despair?
From such a cause as fills mine eyes with tears, and stops my tongue, while heart is drowned in cares.
Whate'er it be thou still like thyself, and sit thee by our side. Now tell thy grief. It shall be eased if France can yield relief.
Then know therefore, thou mighty king of France, that Henry, sole possessor of my love, is of a king become a banished man, and forced to live in Scotland, a forlorn. While proud ambitious Edward, Duke of York, usurps the regal title, and the lawful seat of England's true anointed lawful king. This is the cause that I, poor Margaret, with this my son, Prince Edward, Henry's heir, am come to crave thy just and lawful age.
Renowned queen, with patience calm the storm, while we bethink a means to break it off.
But see where comes the breeder of my sorrow.
What he approacheth boldly to our presence.
Our Earl of Warwick, Edward's greatest friend.
Welcome, brave Warwick. What brings thee to France? From worthy Edward, King of Albion, I come, in kindness and unfeigned love. First to do greeting to thy royal person, and then to crave a league of amity. And lastly, to confirm that amity with nuptial knot, if thou vouchsafe to grant that virtuous Lady Bona, thy fair sister, to England's king in lawful marriage.
Let this go forward. Henry's hope is done.
And gracious madam, in our king's behalf, I am commanded with your leave and favour, humbly to kiss your hand. And with my tongue to tell the passion of my sovereign's heart, where fame late entered at his heedful ears, hath placed thy beauty's image and thy virtue.
King Louis and Lady Bona, hear me speak before you answer, Warwick. His demand springs not from Edward's well-meant honest love, but from deceit bred by necessity. To prove him tyrant, this reason may suffice, that Henry liveth still. But were he dead, here Prince Edward stands, King Henry's son. Look therefore, Louis, that by this league and amity thou draw not on thee danger and dishonour.
Injurious Margaret.
And why not, Queen?
Because thy father Henry did usurp, And thou art no more prince than she is queen.
Now, Warwick, tell me, even upon thy conscience, is Edward thy true king? For we were loath to link with him that were not lawful chosen.
Whereon I pawn my credit and mine honour.
But is he gracious in the people's eye?
The more that Henry was unfortunate.
Then more, all dissembling set aside, tell me for truth the measure of his love unto our sister Bogdanov.
So much it seems as may beseem a monarch like himself. For I myself have often heard him say and swear that this his love was an eternal plant, whereon the root was fixed in virtue's ground, the leaves and fruit maintained by beauty's sun.
Now, sister, let us hear thy firm resolve.
Your grant or your denial shall be mine. Yet I confess that often ere this day when I have heard your king's desert recounted, mine ear hath tempted judgment to desire.
Then, Warwick, thus, our sister shall be Edward's. And now, forthwith shall articles be drawn touching the jointure which your king must make, with which her dowry shall be counterpoised.
Deceitful Warwick. Before thy coming, Louis was Henry's friend.
And still is friend to him and Margaret. But if your title to the crown be weak, then 'tis but reason that I be released from giving aid, which late I promised. Yet shall you have all friendship at my hands.
Henry now lives in Scotland at his ease. Where having nothing, nothing can he lose. As for you yourself, our quondam queen, you have a father able to maintain you.
Peace! Shameless and insolent Warwick, peace! Proud setter up and puller down of kings! I will not hence till I make Louis behold thy sly conveyance and our Lord's false love. For both of you are birds of self-same feather.
The Duke of Norfolk. Let him enter.
Henry of Lancaster, your sometime king, is clapped up close by royal command of Edward, his true liege and master. My Lord Ambassador, these letters are for you. This from our king unto your majesty, and this, madam, for you. From whom I know not.
What? Is your king married to the Lady Grey? And now to smooth your forgery in his sends me a paper to persuade me patience? Is this the alliance that you seek with France?
I told your majesty as much before. This proveth Edward's love and Warwick's honesty.
King Louis, I here protest in sight of God, and by that hope I have of heavenly bliss, that I am clear of this misdeed of Edward. No more my king, for he dishonours me. And to repair mine honour lost to him, I here renounce him and return to Henry. My noble queen, let former grudges pass. Henceforth I am thy true servitor. I will revenge his wrong to Lady Bona, and replant Henry in his former state.
Warwick, these words have turned my hate to love, and I forgive and quite forget old faults and joy that thou becomest King Henry's friend.
So much his friend, I, his unfeigned friend. But if King Louis here vouchsafe to furnish me some chosen bands of soldiers, I'll undertake to land them on our coast and force the tyrant from his seat with war.
My Lord of Norfolk, return in post, and tell false Edward, thy supposed king, that Louis of France is sending over maskers to revel it with him and his new bride.
Tell him, in hope, he'll prove a widower shortly. I'll wear the willow garland for his sake.
Tell him my mourning weeds are laid aside, and I am ready to put armour on.
And tell him from me that he hath done me wrong. And therefore I'll uncrown him ere it be long.
But Warwick, thou and Oxford and 5,000 men shall cross the channel and bid false Edward battle. Yet ere thou go, but answer me one doubt. What pledge have we of thy firm loyalty?
That if our queen and this young prince agree, I'll join my eldest daughter and my joy to him forthwith in holy wedlock's bands.
Yes, I agree, and thank thee for the motion. Son Edward, she is fair and virtuous. Therefore delay not, give thy hand to Warwick.
And here to pledge my vow, I give my hand.
I stay we now. These soldiers shall be levied. I long till Edward fall by war's mischance, for mocking marriage with a dame of France.
I came from Edward as ambassador, but I return his sworn and mortal foe. Had he none else to make a stale but me? Why, then none but I will turn his jest to sorrow. I was the chief that raised him to the crown, and I'll be chief to bring him down again.
Now tell me, Brother Clarence, what think you of this new marriage with the Lady Grey? Have not our brother made a worthy choice?
Alas, you know, 'tis far from hence to France. I could he stay till Warwick may return.
My lords, forbear this talk. Here comes the king.
And his well-chosen bride.
I mind to tell him plainly what I think.
Brother of Clarence, how like you our choice, that you stand pensive as half malcontent?
Oh, as well as Louis of France, or the Earl of Warwick.
They are but Louis and Warwick. I am Edward.
And shall have your will, because our king, yet hasty marriage seldom proveth well.
Yea, Brother Richard, are you offended too?
Not I, no, God forbid, that I should wish them sundered who God hath joined together, and 'twere pity to sever them that yoke so well together.
Setting your scorns and your dislike aside, give me some reason why the Lady Grey should not become my wife and England's queen. And you, my lord, speak freely what you think.
And this is mine opinion, that King Louis becomes your enemy for mocking him about the marriage of a Lady Bona.
And to have joined with France in such alliance would more have strengthened this our commonwealth against foreign storms than any home-bred marriage.
'Tis better using France than trusting France.
But safer 'tis when backed by France.
And in your bride, you bury brotherhood!
Alas, poor Clarence, is it for a wife that thou art malcontent? I will provide thee.
In choosing for yourself, you showed your judgment was being shallow. You give me leave to play the broker on my own behalf. And to that end, I shortly mind to leave you.
Leave me or tarry, Edward will be king.
My lords, before it pleased his majesty to raise my state to title of a queen, do me but right, and you must all confess that I was not ignoble of descent.
My love, forbear to fawn upon their frowns. What peril or what sorrow can befall thee so long as Edward is thy constant friend and their true sovereign whom they must obey, nay, whom they shall obey and love thee too, unless they seek for hatred at my hands. Norfolk, what news from France? What says King Louis to our letters?
At my depart, these were his very words. Tell Edward, thy supposed king, that Louis of France is sending over maskers to revel it with him and his new bride.
Is Louis so brave? Belike he thinks me Henry. But what says Henry's queen, for I have heard that she was there in place?
Tell him, quoth she, my morning weeds are done, and I am ready to put armour on.
Belike she means to play the Amazon. But what says Warwick to these injuries?
He, more incensed against your majesty than all the rest, dismissed me with these words. Tell him from me that he hath done me wrong, and therefore I'll uncrown ere it be long.
Ha! Durst the traitor breathe out such proud breath? They shall have wars and pay for their presumption. But say, is Warwick friends with Margaret?
Aye, gracious sovereign. They are so linked in friendship that young Prince Edward marries Warwick's daughter.
Like the elder. Clarence will have the younger. Now, brother king, farewell and sit you fast, for I will hence to Warwick's other daughter,
that though I want a kingdom, yet in marriage I may not prove inferior to yourself. You that love me and Warwick, follow me!
Clarence and Hereford! The both fled to Warwick, but we are armed against the worst can happen, and haste is needful in this desperate case. Norfolk and Hastings, you on our behalf, go levy men and make prepare for war. They are already, or shortly will be landed. Myself in person soon will follow you, but ere you go, my noble lords, give me assurance with some friendly vow that I may never hold you in suspect.
So God help Norfolk, that shall prove true.
And so says Hastings, as he favours Edward's cause.
Now, Brother Richard, will you stand by us?
In despite of all that shall withstand you.
Aye, therefore we are sure of victory. So let us haste and lose no hour till we meet Warwick with his foreign power.
Trust me, my lord, all hitherto goes well. The common people by numbers flock to us. Now what remains but under coverture of night? King Edward being foolishly encamped, his soldiers lurking in the towns about. We may surprise and take him at our pleasure. Our scouts have found the adventure very easy. So, let's set on. And Henry for our king.
Come on, my masters. Each man take his stand. The king by this has set him down to sleep.
What, will he not to bed?
Why, no. For he hath made a solemn vow, never to lie and take his natural rest, till Warwick or himself be quite suppressed.
What nobleman he resteth with the king?
'Tis the Lord Hastings, the king's chiefest friend.
Oh, is it so? But why commands the king that his chief followers lodge in towns about him, while he himself keeps in a cold field?
'Tis the more honour, because more dangerous.
Give me worship and quietness. I like it better than a dangerous honour.
Richard and Hastings, let them go. See, here is the Duke.
The Duke? Why, Warwick, when we parted, thou callest me king.
Aye. But now the case is altered. When you disgraced me in my embassade, then I degraded you from being king. And come now to create you Duke of York. Alas, how shouldst thou govern any kingdom that knows not how to use ambassadors, nor how to be contented with one wife, nor how to use your brothers brotherly?
Yea, brother Clarence, art thou here too? Nay, then I see that Edward needs must down. Yet Warwick, in despite of all mischance, Edward will always bear himself as king. Though fortune's malice overthrow my state, my mind exceeds the compass of her wheel.
Well then, Edward, for thy mind be king of England. For Henry now shall wear the crown.
What fates impose, that man must needs abide. It boots not to resist both wind and tide.
What now remains, my lords, for us to do but march to London with our soldiers?
Aye, that's the first thing that we have to do. To free King Henry from imprisonment and see him seated on the regal throne.
Madam, what makes you in this sudden change?
Aye, brother Rivers, are you yet to learn what late misfortune is befallen King Edward?
What? Loss of some pitched battle against Warwick?
No, but the loss of his own royal person.
And is my sovereign slain?
Aye, almost slain, for he is taken prisoner, either betrayed by falsehood of his guard, or by his foe, surprised at unawares.
These news, I must admit, are full of grief. Yet, gracious madam, bear it as you may, Warwick may lose that now hath won the day.
Till then, fair hope must hinder life's decay, and either rather wean me from despair for love of England's offspring in my womb. This is it that makes me bridle passion, lest with my sighs or tears I blast or drown King Edward's fruit, true heir to the English crown.
But, madam, where is Warwick then become?
I'm informed that he comes towards London to set the crown once more on Henry's head. Guess thou the rest. King Edward's friends must down, but to prevent the tyrant's violence, for trust not him that hath once broken faith, I'll henceforth with unto the sanctuary, to save at least the heir of Edward's right. There shall I rest secure from force and fraud. Come, therefore, let us fly while we may fly.
Master Lieutenant, now that God and friends have shaken Edward from the regal seat, at our enlargement, what are thy due fees?
Subjects may challenge nothing of their sovereign, but if an humble prayer may prevail, I then crave pardon of your majesty.
For what? Lieutenant, for well using me. Nay, be thou sure, I will well requite thy kindness, for that it made my imprisonment a pleasure. Such a pleasure as encaged birds conceive, when after many moody thoughts, by note of household harmony, they quite forget their loss of liberty. But Warwick, after God, thou settest me free, and chiefly therefore I thank God and thee, and so that I may conquer fortune's spite, and that the people of this blessed land may not be punished with my thwarting stars. Warwick, although my head still wear the crown, I here resign my government to thee, for thou art fortunate in all thy deeds.
Your grace hath still been famed for virtuous. But in this one thing I must blame your grace, for choosing me when Clarence is in place.
Nay, Warwick, thou art worthy of the sway, and therefore I yield to thee my free consent.
Warwick and Clarence, give me both thy hands. That no dissension hinder government, I make you both protectors of this land, whilst I myself will lead a private life, and in devotion spend my latter days.
What answers Clarence to his sovereign's will?
That he consents. If Warwick yield consent.
Why, then we'll yoke together like a double shadow to Henry's body and supply his place. And Clarence, now then is it more than needful that Edward be forthwith proclaimed a traitor, and all his goods and lands be confiscated.
What else? And that succession be determined.
What else? And in that Clarence shall not want his part.
Let me entreat, for I command no more, that Margaret, your queen, and my son Edward be sent forth to return from France with speed. For till I see them here, by doubtful fear, my joy of liberty is half eclipsed.
It shall be done, my sovereign, with all speed.
My lord of Hereford, what youth is that, of whom you seem to have so tender care?
My liege, it is young Henry, Earl of Richmond.
Come hither, England's hope. Oh. If secret powers suggest but truth to my divining thoughts, this pretty lad will prove our country's bliss. His looks are full of peaceful majesty, his head by nature framed to wear a crown, his hand to wield a scepter, and himself likely in time to bless a regal throne. Make much of him, my lords, for this is he. Must help you more than you are hurt by me.
What news, my friend?
That Edward is escaped from his capture.
Unsavoury news. How made he escape?
He was conveyed by Richard, Duke of Gloucester, and the Lord Hastings, who attended him in secret ambush on the forest side, and from the bishop's huntsman rescued him.
The bishop's huntsman?
Hunting was his daily exercise.
Oh! God, his guardians were too careless of their charge. Come, let us hence, my sovereign, to provide a salve for any sore that may be tied.
My lord, I'd like none of this flight of Edward's, for we shall have more wars before very long. As Henry's late presaging prophecy did glad my heart with hope of this young Richmond, so doth my heart misgive me in these conflicts what may befall him, to his harm and ours. Therefore, Lord Oxford, to prevent the worst, forthwith we'll send him hence to Brittany, till storms be past of civil enmity.
Aye, for if Edward repossess the crown, 'tis like that Richmond with the rest shall down. Now, for this
night we'll harbour here in York, and when the morning sun hath raised his car above the border of the horizon, we'll forward towards Warwick and his mates. Ah, froward Clarence, how evil it beseems thee to flatter Henry and forsake thy brothers. Come on, brave soldiers, doubt not of the day, and that once gotten, doubt not of large pay.
What counsel, lords? Usurping Edward with his troops doth march amain to London. Many giddy people flock to him.
Let's let him in and beat him back again.
There speaks my king.
A little fire is quickly trodden out.
In Warwickshire I have true-hearted friends, not mutinous in peace, yet bold in war. Those will I muster up. Thou, son Clarence, thou, brother Hereford, and thou, brave Oxford, shall muster up thy friends. Our sovereign with a loving citizen shall rest in London till we come for him. Take leave, sweet lords, and stand not to reply.
Farewell, my Hector, and my Troy's true hope.
Farewell, sweet lords. We'll meet at Coventry.
On sign of truth, I kiss your highness' hand.
Say, Oxford, what thinks your lordship? Methinks the power that Edward hath in field will not be able to encounter mine.
The doubt is that he will seduce the rest.
Well, that's not my fear. My meed hath got me fair. I have not been desirous of their wealth, nor much oppressed them with great subsidies, nor forward of revenge, though they much earned. Then why should they love Edward more than me? No, Oxford, these graces challenge grace. And when the lion fawns upon the lamb will never cease to follow him.
Hark, my lord. What furious shouts are these? Now fly at us.
King Henry, flee. Without going, I will stay.
I'll fetch more force, my lord, and soon return. Seize on the shamefaced Henry. Bear him hence, and once again proclaim me King of England. Thou art the fount that makes small brooks to flow. Now stops thy spring. My seas shall suck 'em dry, and swell so much the higher by their ebb. Convey him to the tower, let him not speak. And lords, towards Coventry bend we our course.
There is the post that came from Barry Oxford. How far hence is my lord, man, and his fellow?
Well, this is Dunsmore marching hitherward.
Tell me, where is the post that came from Hereford? How far distant is my lord?
Well, this is Daintree with a puissant troop.
It's only by a guess. And now is Clarence now. At Southern did I leave him with his men. We'll expect him here these 2 hours hence. Ah, Clarence is at hand, I hear his drum.
It is not his, my honourable lord. Here Southern lies. The drum your honour hears marches from Sutton.
Well, then who might this be? I can look for friends.
They are at hand, as you shall swiftly know.
Ha! See how the surly Warwick mans the wall.
For one did spite. His sportful Edward come.
Now, Warwick, wilt thou ope the city gates, speak gentle words, and humbly bend thy knee? Call Edward king, and at his hands beg mercy?
Nay, rather wilt thou draw thy forces hence. Confess who set thee up and pluck thee down, and thou shalt still remain the Duke of York.
I thought at least he would have said the king.
Henry is my king. Warwick is subject.
But Warwick's king is Edward's prisoner. And gallant Warwick, do but answer this. What is the body when the head is off?
Come, Warwick. Take the time. Kneel down, kneel down. Nay, wench, strike now, or else the iron cools.
I'd rather cut this hand off at a blow, and with the other fling it in thy face, than bear so low a sail to strike to thee.
Sail how thou canst, have wind and tide, thy friend. This hand, fast wound about thy coal-black hair, shall, when thy head is warm and new cut off, write in the dust this sentence with thy blood: wind-changing Warwick now can change no more.
But see, where George of Clarence sweeps along, with force enough to bid his brother battle, in whom an upright zeal for right prevails more than the nature of a brother's love. Come, Clarence. Come. Ah, thou wilt if Warwick call thee.
Father of Warwick, know you what this means? Look, here I throw my infamy at thee. I will not ruinate my father's house, who gave his blood to lime the stones together, and set up Lancaster. Why? Trowest thou, Warwick, that Clarence is so harsh, so blunt, unnatural, to bend the fatal instruments of war against his brother and his lawful king? I am so sorry for my trespass made, that to deserve well at my brother's hands, I here proclaim myself thy mortal foe, to plague thee for thy foul misleading me. And so, proud-hearted Warwick, I do defy thee, and to my brother turn my blushing cheeks. Pardon me, Edward. I will make amends. And Richard, do not frown upon my faults, for I will henceforth be no more unconstant.
Welcome, dear brother, 10 times more beloved than if thou never didst deserve our hate.
Welcome, good Clarence, this is brother-like.
Thou treacherous viper, perjured and unjust.
Now, Warwick, wilt thou ope the city gates, or shall we beat the stones about thine ears?
Alas, I'm not cooked here for defence. I'll bid thee battle, Edward, if thou darest.
Yes, Warwick, Edward dares and leads the way. Lords, to the field! St. George and victory!
Set forth our battle. I've done with talk. Till Lancaster eclipse these sons of York.
Edward! Edward! Survive our men. Die thou and die our fear. For Warwick was a bug that feared us all. Now, Hereford, sit fast, I come for thee, that Warwick's bones may keep thine company.
Thus yields the cedar to the axe's edge, whose arms gave shelter to the princely eagle, within whose shade the ramping lion slept. These eyes of mine, now dimmed with death's black veil, have been as searching as the midday sun, to search the secret treasons of the world. The wrinkles in my brow, now filled with blood, were likened oft to kingly sepulchres. For who lived king but I could dig his grave? And who durst smile when Warwick bent his brow? Ah, my glory now, stained with blood and dust. My parks, my walks, the manners that I had even now forsake me. And of all my land, is nothing left me but my body's length. Why, what is pomp, rule, reign, but earth and dust? And live we how we can, yet die we must.
Yes! Here lies the bear that in his life did boast that he would live to see 3 sons put down.
Wind changing Warwick now can change no more.
Thus far our fortune keeps an upward course, and we are graced with wreaths of victory. But in the midst of this bright shining day, I spy a black, suspicious, threatening cloud. I mean, my lords, the powers that the Queen hath raised in France have now arrived our coast.
Oh, a little gale will soon disperse that cloud. Thy very beams will dry those vapours out.
The Queen is valued 30,000 strong. If she have time to breathe, be well assured her faction will be full as strong as ours.
We are advertised by our loving friends that they do bend their course towards Tewkesbury.
And as we march along, our strength will be augmented in every county as we go.
We'll drive the quondam Queen into the sea and make her swim the long way back to France.
Yeah.
Warwick! What hours we are, we might recover all our loss.
Great lords, wise men ne'er sit and wail their loss, but cheerly seek to redress their harms. What though the mast be now blown overboard, the cable broke, the holding anchor lost, and half our sailors swallowed in the flood? Say Warwick was our anchor, what of that? And Clifford was our topmast, what of him? And our slaughtered friends, the tackles, what of these? Why, is not Oxford here another anchor? And our son the prince another goodly mast? And though unskillful, why not Ned and I for once allowed the skillful pilot's charge? We will not from the helm to sit and weep, but keep our course, though the rough winds say no. And what is Edward but a ruthless sea? What Clarence but a quicksand of deceit? And Richard a ragged fatal rock? Say you can swim, alas, 'tis but a while. Tread on the sand, why there you will quickly sink. Bestride the rock, the tide will wash you off. Or else you famish, and that's a 3-fold death. I speak this, lords, to let you understand, in case some one of you should fly from us, that there's no hoped-for mercy with the brothers.
Methinks a woman of this valiant spirit should, if a coward had her speak these words, infuse his blood with magnanimity, and make him naked, foil a man-at-arms.
Oh, brave young prince, thy famous grandfather doth live again in thee.
Prepare ye, lords, for Edward is at hand, ready to fight. Therefore be resolute.
Lords, knights and gentlemen, what I should say, my tears gainsay. For every word I speak, ye see I drink the water of mine eyes. Therefore no more than this. Henry thy sovereign is prisoner to the foe, his states usurped, his realm a slaughterhouse, his subjects slaughtered, his statutes cancelled, and his treasure spent. And yonder is the wolf that makes this spoil. Ye fight injustice. Then in God's name, lords, be valiant, and give signal to the fight. Set on, our Lancaster!
Bring forth the gallant, let us hear him speak. What, can so young a thorn begin to prick?
Speak like a subject, proud, ambitious York. Suppose that I am now my father's mouth. Resign thy chair, and where I stand, kneel thou.
Oh, had thy father been so resolved.
For God's sake, take away this captive scold.
Nay, take away this scolding crookback, rather.
Peace, wilful boy, or I will charm thy tongue.
I know my duty. You are all undutiful. Lascivious Edward, and thou, perjured George, and thou, misshapen Dick. I tell thee all, I'm your better, traitors as you are, and thou usurpest my father's right, and mine.
Take down! The likeness of this railer here.
Sprawls, thou! Take that! To end my agony!
And theirs, for twitting me with perjury. And theirs.
Oh, kill me too.
Marion shall.
Hold, Richard, hold. For we have done too much.
Why should she live to fill the world with words?
Or does she swoon? Use means for her recovery.
George, excuse me to the king, my brother. I'll hence to London on a serious matter. Ye come there, be sure to hear some news.
What?
The tower.
Ned. Sweet Ned. Speak to thy mother, boy. Canst thou not speak? O traitors! Murderers! What's worse than murderer that I may name it? Oh, butchers, villains, bloody cannibals! How sweet a plant hast thou untimely cropped! Thou hast no children, butchers. If you had, the thought of them would have stirred up remorse. But if you ever chance to have a child, look at his youth to have him so cut off as death's when you have this sweet young prince.
Take her away and bear her hence perforce.
Nay, never bear me hence. Dispatch me here. Come, unsheath thy sword. I pardon thee, my dear. What wilt thou not? Then, Clarence, do it thou.
By heavens, I would not do thee so much ease.
Good Clarence, do. Sweet Clarence, do thou do it.
Didst thou not hear me swear? I would not do it.
But thou usest to forswear thyself. 'Twas sin before, now 'tis charity. What wilt thou not? Then where's that devil's butcher, Richard? Hard-favoured Richard, where art thou? Thou art not here.
almsdeed petitioners for blood on their putters back.
Away, I say, I charge thee, bear her hence.
So come to you and yours, as to this prince.
Where's Richard gone?
To London, all in post, and as I guessed, to make a bloody supper in the Tower.
He is sudden if a thing comes in his head. Well, let us hence discharge our common sort with pay and thanks, and let us march to London to see our lovely queen, how well she fares. By this, I hope, she hath a son for me.
Good day, my lord. What, had your book so hard?
Aye, my good lord. My lord, I should say rather. 'Tis sin to flatter. Good was little better. Good Gloucester and good devil were alike, and both preposterous. Therefore not good, lord.
Sirrah, leave us to ourselves, we must confer.
Thus flies the reckless shepherd from the wolf. So first the harnessed sheep doth yield his fleece, and next his throat unto the butcher's knife. What scene of death hath Roscius come to act?
Suspicion always haunts the guilty mind. The thief doth fear each bush, an officer.
The bird that hath been limed in a bush, with trembling wing misdoubteth every bush. And I, the hapless male to one sweet bird, hath now that fatal object in mine eye, where my poor young was caught, was limed, and killed. But wherefore dost thou come? Is it for my life?
Think'st thou I am an executioner?
A persecutor, I am sure thou art. If murdering innocents be executing, then thou art an executioner.
Thy son I killed, for his presumption.
Hadst thou been killed when thou first didst presume, thou hadst not lived to kill a son of mine. And thus I prophesy, which many a thousand now mistrust no parcel of my fear. Many an old man's sigh, many a widow's, many an orphan's water-standing eye. Men for their sons, wives for their husbands, orphans for their parents' timeless death, shall rue the hour that ever thou wast born. The raven rooked her on the chimney tops. The night crow cried, a boding luckless time. Dogs howled, and hideous tempest shook down trees. Thy mother felt more than a mother's pain, yet brought forth less than a mother's hope. To wit, an indigested and a deformed lump, not like the fruit of such a goodly tree. Teeth hadst thou in thy head when thou wast born, to signify thou camest to bite the world. And if the rest be true that I have heard,
I'll hear no more. Die, prophet, in thy speech, for this, amongst the rest, was I ordained.
Aye, and for much more slaughter after this. O God, forgive me, and pardon thee.
expiring blood of Lancaster sink in the ground, I thought it would have mounted. See, how my sword weeps for the poor king's death. Oh, may such purple tears be always shed from those that wish the downfall of our house. If any spark of life be yet remaining, down to hell, and say I sent thee thither. I, that have neither pity, love, nor fear. Indeed, 'tis true that Henry told me of, for I've often heard my mother say I came into the world with my legs forward. Had enough reason, think ye, to make haste and seek their ruin that usurped our right. The midwife wondered, and the women cried, "Oh, Jesus bless us, he's born with teeth." And so I was, which plainly signified that I should snarl and bite and play the dog. Then, since the heavens have shaped my body so, let hell make crooked my mind to answer it. I have no brother. I am like no brother. And this word love, which grey beards call divine, be resident in men like one another, and not in me. I am myself, alone. Clarence, beware, thou keepest me from the light. But I will sort a pitchy day for thee. For I will buzz abroad such prophecies that Edward shall be fearful of his life, and then, to purchase fear, I'll be thy death. King Henry and the Princess son are gone. Clarence, thy turn is next. And then the rest. Counting myself but bad, till I be best. I'll throw thy body in another room, and triumph, Henry, in thy day of doom.
Once more I sit on England's royal throne, repurchased with the blood of enemies. What valiant foemen, like to autumn's corn, have we mowed down in tops of all their pride. Come hither, Bess, and let me kiss my boy. Young Ned, for thee, thine uncles, and myself have in our armours watched the winter's night, gone all afoot in summer's scalding heat, that thou mightst repossess the crown in peace. Now, brother Clarence, love my lovely queen, and kiss your princely nephew, Clarence, too.
The duty that I owe unto your majesty I seal upon the lips of this sweet babe.
Thanks, noble Clarence. Worthy brother, thanks.
Now, brother Richard, love my lovely queen, and kiss your princely nephew and my heir.
And that I love the tree from whence thou sprangst. Witness the loving kiss I give the fruit.
Now am I seated as my soul delights, having my country's peace and brother's love.
What would your grace have done with Margaret?
Away with her and waft her hence to France. And now what rest but that we spend the time in stately triumphs, mirthful comic shows, such as befits the pleasures of the court. So music sound, and farewell sour annoy. For here, I hope, begins our lasting joy.
now is the winter of our discontent made glorious summer by this son of York.